So the next job for the blanket is to cut a slot to take the lip, like this one. So this is figure 4. I've printed it out and I'm just checking that the printer hasn't scaled it, and it hasn't. It's spot on again. And this is a template basically to cut out some blocks of wood to make a jig to cut the lip out, the slot for the lip. You can see there. I mean, what's important, these sizes here, 15 by 32, are there because that was the size of wood I had. If you've got something close, maybe 16 there, or 30 or 40, it's not critical as long as the sides are square. And I've just roughly cut this angle. Again, that's not critical either, that it's spot on. It's round about. So I'm just going to assemble them into the jig. And what I've done is I've cut out this one angle here, which is important. So I'm going to take that angle template and I'm going to put it on one of the longer pieces of wood there, and that's to give me my 30-degree angle, which is the angle of the lip. So I'm just going to mark and then take something as a straight edge. Just join that up. I'll need that in a minute. I'll just turn that around so you can see a bit better. And I'm going to take some super glue on the smaller angled piece. I'm just going to spread that on there. Just tilt that up and lay this so on the flat surface to glue, so the edges are flush. So those two edges are flush there. And then when I've given that a minute to set, I'll put some more super glue on here, lay it back down, and take this other shorter piece and press that in there again, so it's all flush on top. So the final piece slides in between and comes up to that line that we marked there. So the edge shouldn't stick out, this edge here shouldn't stick out past. And the way I'm going to glue that, just going to hold it together, is just put some glue into the sides. And what should happen is by capillary action it will get sucked up into that gap. There we go. That's the jig. So to use the jig, my layer basically sits in there, and the flat area on the layer sits against here. So with a bit of light pressure I can just hold that in position, and this should come back. So when I'm cutting on the edge where it should be. And what I need now is a blade, and what I'm going to use is a hacksaw blade, but I just need to modify that first before we begin to cut. So the blade I'm going to be using is a 24 teeth per inch standard hacksaw blade, and I'm going to cut it into thirds, hopefully. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to score it with these pliers. There we go. Now the thickness of the material for the lip is going to be 2mm, and 3 of these blades is just over that. Now what I'm now going to do is just super glue these together. And just keep the back straight so the edge is all the same height. just leave that to dry. So that's my blade. So to set the depth of my cut, what I'm going to do is take my marking gauge, and I've set this to 7mm, which is the depth of my cut, and score a line down the cut, down behind the blade, and that's the depth I'm going to work to. So I'm back with the jig. I've got my two pieces, my blank, and I'm going to line that up so the edge meets the blade, and then I'm just literally going to saw, and I'm holding the blade flat against the angle surface, and that's it. Job's done. I can test that, and it should be a bit wide. Yes, which it is. But I've got resin and other stuff to put in there yet. So just before we move on, what I'm going to do is show you how I make these lips. And I'm back with this, and I've cut out the template on the bottom, the lip template. And what I'm going to do is stick it to, this is an off-cut of 2mm lexan that I bought online. So I'll just turn it over and just use some spray mount again. I'm just going to stick it to that edge, just so it's flat. So once it's had a bit of time to tack up, I'm going to take a heavy knife and just lock it and give it a really deep score. So other side up, I'm going to score it again, line it up with the edge there. Again, hard and as deep as you can go. So back over, I'm going to put my ruler along the edge, hold it on. There we go. So I'm going to take that strip with my template on, and a thick craft knife and a plastic hammer. A wooden mallet will do, but under no circumstances use a metal hammer. What I'm going to do is score these lines that are marked on here with this hammer. If you use a metal hammer, it'll shatter the blade underneath and bits will fly off. Also stick a pair of goggles on just in case something does happen. So you've got your glasses on. It's just a case of laying the blade onto the line as accurately as you can. Smack. So once you've scored your strip, you can snap these little smaller sections off, and what I do is take a hinge. This is a 3-inch steel hinge, because it's quite difficult to grip, and it also just makes it a bit more accurate. Set of mull grips just to clamp it, and then as I snap, it just comes away easier. Bend it over. Cut that plastic at the back. What it should give you is a nice clean edge, or a near to clear edge, and the back is obviously the rough bit. So you just need to do the front now, which is exactly the same routine. Get your knife, place it over the front, give it a tap, take your hinge, your grips, snap. To get your corners, it's just a case of chopping them off. The little chamfers there. They'll disappear somewhere around the room. I'd probably advise keeping the plastic on, but I just need to show you this. You can see the edges are pretty smooth.